This video is about using the properties of perpendicular lines to find a missing value. So, if two intersecting lines form a linear pair of congruent angles, then the lines are perpendicular. So in the picture, we see that these two angles are congruent because they have the same mark. So we can say that R is perpendicular to S. In a plane, if a transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, then it is perpendicular to the other line. So in this case, N and Q are perpendicular, so that means that R and Q are also perpendicular. If we have two coplanar lines that are perpendicular to the same line, then the lines are parallel to each other. So N is perpendicular to S, R is perpendicular to S, so we can conclude that N is parallel to R. So let's use these properties to solve for variables. So in number one, we want to solve for X and Y in each diagram. So here we see that these angles are congruent and they are forming a straight line, which means each of these angles has to be 90 degrees. So to solve for X, we have 12X plus 6 equals 90. We can subtract 6 from both sides. 12x equals 84. We can divide by 12, so x is 7. In our second one, we have 7y minus 22 is equal to 90. We can add 22 to both sides, and we get 7y is equal to 112. When we divide by 7, y is 16. In number two, we have F is perpendicular to G. So if they are perpendicular, they're making right angles. So both of these are equal to 90 degrees. 14x plus 6 equals 90. We can subtract 6 from both sides. 14x is equal to 84. When we divide by 14, x equals 6. In our second equation, we have y squared plus y equals 90. Because there's a y squared and a y, we're going to have to factor. So we're going to move the 90 to the other side. Y squared plus y minus 90 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 90 and add to 1 because there's a 1 in front of that y. So we are going to have y plus 10, y minus 9, and switch our signs to solve for y. So y is negative 10 and 9. Both of these answers will stay because negative 10 squared plus negative 10 is a positive, and 9 squared plus 9 is 90. In number three, we see that P is parallel to Q because they have these extra arrows. We also see one 90-degree angle, which means that all of these angles are now 90-degree angles. So we have 11x minus 9 equals 90. We can add 9 to both sides. 11x equals 99. We can divide by 11, so x is 9. We also have 8y minus 6 equals 90. We can add 6 to both sides. 8y is equal to 96. Then we can divide both sides by 8. So y equals 12. In number 4, we see A is parallel to B because they have the extra arrow. We also see one right angle, so now we know we have right angles everywhere. So first we can solve for x. 2x plus 68 is equal to 90. We can subtract 68 from both sides. We get 2x equals 22. When we divide by 2, x is 11. Then we have 6x plus 4y is equal to 90. But we already know x from solving our first equation, so we can put 11 in place of x. So we have 6 times 11 plus 4y equals 90. 66 plus 4y is equal to 90. We can subtract 66 from both sides. So we get 4y equals 24. When we divide by 4, y is 6. In number 5, we have P is parallel to R because again, there's the extra arrow. We have one right angle, which means all of these angles are right angles now. So when we write our equation, we have x plus 6y equals 90. We also have 8x plus 3y equals 90. Because we need to do elimination to get rid of a variable here, I'm going to multiply the second equation by -2 to get rid of our y. So the first equation stays the same. X plus 6y equals 90. The second equation becomes -16x minus 6y equals -180. When we add straight down, we get -15x equals -90. When we divide by -15, x is 6. And then we can go back and solve for y. So we're going to have 6 plus 6y equals 90. We can subtract 6 from both sides. 6y equals 84. When we divide by 6, we get y is 14. Number 6, line K is perpendicular to line D, solve for x and y. Well, D and T are also parallel, so if K is perpendicular to D, it is also perpendicular to T. So we have 4x plus 10y equals 90. 10x minus 2y equals 90. This time, in order to eliminate a variable, I'm going to multiply the second equation by 5 because we already have our opposite signs. So we have 4x plus 10y equals 90, and we have 50x minus 10y equals 450. So we add straight down. We get 54x is equal to 540. We can divide by 54. And x equals 10. Then we can go back and solve for y. So we have 4 times 10 plus 10y equals 90. 40 plus 10y equals 90. We can subtract 40 from both sides. 10y equals 50. Divide by 10. So y equals 5. So 10, 5. In number 7, given that A is parallel to B, solve for X. So even though they don't look parallel, right now we are told they are. So A and B are parallel to each other. The other two lines for now are transversals. So C and D are transversals. So I want to see which transversal has two angles on it. So I see that the green transversal has 7x plus 22 and 5x plus 38 on it. These are corresponding angles, so they are congruent. So we're going to solve for x. 7x plus 22 equals 5x plus 38. We can subtract 5x from both sides. 2x plus 22 equals 38. We can subtract 22 from both sides. 2x equals 16. When we divide by 2, x is 8. Then we want to see, is C parallel to D? Explain why. So we see that on B, there are two angles here, x squared plus 2x and 5x plus 38. So using 8, we want to see their measurements first. So 5 times 8 plus 38 is 78 degrees. 8 squared plus 2 times 8 is 80 degrees. So these angles are same side interior, which means that they need to be congruent. Because they are not congruent, since they don't have the same measure, C is not parallel to D. So no, C is not parallel to D because alternate interior angles are not congruent.